I believe that the issues, jobs, education, transportation, water. I mean, those are huge issues. Filling that budget deficit is going to be another huge one. As everybody knows, Texas requires a balanced budget, and so we will not have a deficit. But how do you close it is the problem. We have, I believe, that the legislators in the last two sessions did us a great service by not spending the rainy day fund. We ought to have about $10 billion in it. I think we can get perhaps part of the way there with that. So Texas has saved some money, and that's a goal. Filling the budget deficit the shortfall is going to be a real problem, and I believe we're going to have to do that by cutting back. I don't think you raise taxes in the middle of a recession. Even though Texas is doing better than virtually every other state, we're not doing as well as any of us would like. And so, what I would like to see is, our economy to bounce back quickly. I think we were the last in. I hope we'll be the first out of this recession. I chaired the Business and Commerce Committee for 4 sessions. That used to be called the Economic Development Committee. And I was able to do a lot of things on the 4A and 4B corporation legislation that allows local entities, and I know that Granbury does this, to put some money toward economic development. And we were able to revise those to broaden the uses and allow entities to have a little bit more flexibility in how they go after economic development. Redistricting is always difficult. This will be the 3rd redistricting I've been through. I went through 91 and then did it in 01. And if I'm fortunate enough to get back, we'll do it again. I don't think counties ought to be split. I think people in Hood County ought to be concerned that they're not tossed into a West Texas district where there'll be one of 30 counties. That is my concern for Hood County, or split between 2 districts, because I just don't believe that counties ought to be split, other than the very large counties where there's more than enough people for 2 senators, and you have to, of course, split them then.
Okay. There are some people here in Hood County who feel that the District 22 Senate seat has long been held by Waco, and some people have said that it's our turn to have someone in that seat. Can you address that and talk a little bit more about what you would do to help Hood County if you are
Sure.
to be elected?
Well, first I'd say the past is prologue. I would invite people to look at what I did for Hood County when I represented you in the 90s. I think we were very active on the economic development front with TxDOT on the 144. And you don't have to be here long to hear some other TxDOT things that people like to get done. In particular, the Crescent Railroad crossing, I think, seems to be a real thorn, and it was back then. And I've had a chance to drive it a couple of times since this campaign started, and it's awful. It's a horrible thing. So I think, I would invite people to look at what I was able to do before. The development law here, where we were able to control some of the septic tanks that were exploding out here. We gave Hood County was the first to get the ability for counties to essentially zone on things as important as water. That was my legislation that did that. So I feel like I'd invite the people of Hood County to look and see what I have done. Now, as far as the senator being from Waco, that's not really true. There's Senator Averitt and myself, and that's it. The senator hadn't been from Waco since maybe the 50s before that. So in any case, I represent 10 counties. I will represent all 10 counties vigorously. I think the people here, as I campaign, I'm renewing friendships from that time. I was up here a lot during that time. And I believe, I don't want to make a pest out of myself, but I will be up here a lot, and I believe people will be happy with the representation they receive. If you draw a line from El Paso to San Antonio to Corpus Christi, south of that line, there's a huge water deficit. I mean, we've got to start dealing with that. And so here in this part of Texas, North Texas, we're very fortunate to have the reservoirs that we do have. But people want water. They're going to need a lot of water, and they need it to be clean, potable water. And so I think that's what we need to focus on. In regard to Granbury, we got the desalination plant out here, and I know that people in Johnson County are appreciative of that and are doing some things there. But the towns that are really progressive are trying to gather the water rights from various parts so they can make sure they take care of their future. You won't have economic development if you don't have water. You won't have it if you don't have a good educated workforce. So those are the things we need to do. So I see water as it will be a major issue for years to come. And I don't see anybody solving the problem in one session. You start managing the problem. Senator Averitt started 2 sessions ago. When I was in the Senate, we started a process. That's where we came up with the Area G planning groups. And so we're down the road, and the various communities have filed their future water needs, what they think they're going to be, and we're starting to deal with those and see if we can satisfy them. So it is a huge issue.
David, you mentioned education as being important too. What are your concerns there?
One of the big concerns in education right now is that 40% of the school districts are in the red. In other words, they're having to go into their reserve fund to pay for operating expenses. This is obviously not sustainable. And so the state of Texas has done to education what I believe the federal government is doing to the states, and that is passing along unfunded mandates. The feds are passing along an unfunded mandate concerning health care, and I think the state of Texas is passing unfunded mandates on to public education. Over 90% of the children are educated by public schools. That's where our future is. And so we need to come up with a way to fund these schools and fund them well and fund them adequately. I would expect a lawsuit to be filed any time now based on an efficient school system or on adequacy of funding. And I don't see any way around it. The lawsuit would be filed.
So where's the money going to come from?
I don't know. We've got a $15 billion hole right now. We'll have to look at a lot of things. I don't think you raise taxes. I think that's the one thing you don't do, but we do have to have some priorities, and I'm listing my priorities, as economic development, education right there. So I think you find the money other places. And Governor Perry has mandated that each agency cut 5% except for Department of Criminal Justice. I don't think you'll get there all the way with just that, but those are the sorts of things that we have to do ahead of time to make sure that we're ready when the session starts.